It's an email breakdown.
Email's not dead.
Hello, friends. We're back again with another email breakdown. I'm Naj, the marketing alchemist, the host of this little baby show. It's really nice to have you. I'm here with a buddy again. I'm here with my friend Simon Harper. Hey, Simon.
Hey.
Hey. Okay, so before we get started, I'd love for you to maybe tell our friends at home a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure to be here and finally chat to you in person. So I've been doing email marketing now, I guess, for gosh, it must be 2013, maybe longer. So I set
Ooh,
up my business in 2009. So this is my
oh my
15th
gosh.
year, I know. And it kind of email marketing started out for me as something that I did for myself, and then that slowly migrated to my clients and the service then that I offered, and then things kind of spiraled from there. And 2018 things really kicked off. So I do a lot of WooCommerce and Shopify dev work, and as we know, coding for emails is slightly different than coding for the web.
Just a bit,
Thanks
yeah.
Outlook for that one. But yeah, since 2018, things have been ramping up a lot more, even with the email marketing as well, and it's something that I absolutely love because a website is never finished. Whereas once an email is out and away, at least that campaign's done. Now there's follow up work, but at least the campaign is done.
It's just gone. It's
Yeah,
done. Yes. Yeah.
gone. So yeah, it's fun. I was the first Mailchimp partner in all of Ireland, which is pretty
Whoa.
cool. So
That is cool.
yeah, I was one of the first Klaviyo partners as well. Although I try to be platform agnostic, but obviously with the big popular platforms, it's nice to be certified with them. And
Hmm.
with being in Northern Ireland, which is a very small little place. It's only 1.8, 1.9 million people. There's always lots of things to do, so it's good.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm really excited to get your unique insights on some of the emails we'll be looking at today. And yeah, you're right. Coding for email, it's the whole thing. So yeah, I always love like hearing from coders like how they feel about it. And spoiler alert, they feel exactly the same way I do, which is always nice. I thought it was just me. So we're going to start with we're going on format today, folks. By the way, I know the last few episodes have been going a little bit off piece, but guess what? It's my show. I'll do whatever I want. This episode we're going to be breaking down some email designs, and I tried to curate with a theme in mind. I found these emails from emaillove.com. Much like really good emails, this is a really good resource to find email designs that just look really darn good. So the theme for today is details. I picked out three emails that really showcase the details of the products. So yeah, we're going to start with Ralph Lauren. I can't ever say I've owned a single Ralph Lauren product, but I was very curious about this. So, what's your knowledge of Ralph Lauren, Simon? Are you a Ralph Lauren fan by any
Uh,
chance?
I know who the brand is, but no, I've never owned anything from Ralph
No,
Lauren.
we didn't.
No.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of start out by zooming out a little bit just so we can kind of like get the lay of the land here. We've got some lovely big images, and yeah, just some really nice animated gifs as well. What are your first impressions on this?
It's loud, but I like it.
Yeah, yeah. I think given the right situation, like that can be a good thing.
Yeah,
This is yeah, it's interesting. So I think the content of this email is clearly to launch their collection. But it is for a good cause as well because 25% of each item's purchased in this collection is donated in their fight against cancer. So I think the loudness makes sense in this case.
no,
So yeah,
100%. I think
really, really
the,
awesome. Yeah.
sorry, I cut across you there. I really apologize.
No, it's okay. You go ahead.
It's just, I mean, whenever you see it and the messaging then underneath the branding completely makes sense. It's nice that they've modified their brand logo for that because I think Ralph Lauren's normally blue, which obviously they have the blue in there in the
Hmm.
background anyway. But
Hmm.
what I find really interesting is the animated GIF is on a loop.
Yeah.
It causes me issues sometimes where I'm just kind of don't do that in email. It really annoys me because it distracts me from the rest of the message. But
Mhm.
this is actually really cool because you say the theme of today is detail, and that
Mhm.
GIF is amazing.
Hey, it's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah.
Real.
Yeah, I think in this, so I think this email, yeah, breaks a couple of rules, which is kind of why I wanted to pick on it. So yeah, we're going to stop looking at that gift very slightly. My only beef with this email is that I find the CTAs are really really tiny.
Yeah.
It could be that I am going blind. I don't think so though. These are extremely small. What do you think?
No, I agree. And obviously, whenever you have these ghost button CTAs,
Mm-hmm.
normally they're anchored. So one would be to stand out to enhance
Yeah.
one of the CTAs. So you have these two equal CTAs that are quite hard to read. And then because they're in all caps, that's even
Yeah.
harder for a lot of people to read. Now, I know that may be part of the branding and the action, but it's where do I go? What do I click on?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. So normally, what I would expect to see if there are two buttons side by side, you would have one that is highlighted kind of
Yeah,
like this. So you immediately know that is the one that they would ideally like you to go to. If not, you can go to learn more if you're not yet convinced. But yeah, you're right. It's the fact that it's the text is tiny and it's in all caps is a bit hard. I think my advice to brands personally is like flex some of your brand rules to in favor of accessibility, because like what's worse that people don't know where to go and they don't know how to navigate your emails.
yeah,
um so I would probably flex the brand guidelines a bit more in this case. But moving on, we've got some lovely big images as well. um really nice, I think. So I like the iteration of the messaging. What do you think about that? Because they've already kind of mentioned it here, but then they've repeated it here.
it's funny you should bring this one up because
Hmm.
you don't know this, which is great.
Hmm.
So
Uh-huh.
yesterday was World Mental Health Day, and
Hmm.
one of the brands that I work with, we were doing a similar idea where any products purchased yesterday, 10% of the donations went to a local mental health charity here in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
But I repeated the message, and whenever I sent the proof email, the client was like, "Is this a mistake? You said almost exactly the same thing." It's like, it's not a mistake.
No.
It can, people could think, and then the wording as they've done in this email is different as well, but people can think, why
Hmm.
is it there twice? But it stops you, makes you think, and then it's reiterating, trying to hone that message in and get it into their mind. So repetition sometimes you need to be very careful with, but sometimes I think I'm obviously biased. It works in this case.
Yeah, I believe so as well. Also, I mean, um practically speaking, if this is on a mobile, those images are probably stacking.
Yeah,
Everything is being squished down, and so people are busy, they're distracted. So I think repetition absolutely doesn't hurt as well, especially when it's for such an important cause too.
yeah,
So I actually really love that. I think it's a great idea.
it is.
Yeah, really really nice stuff. And then finally we have this last sort of section, which is kind of calling for UGC, although it wasn't not UGC, sorry, it was to create your own design.
Yeah,
Okay, sometimes with copy it can seem a little too clever. I think you could almost have done with being like a little bit more create your own, like uh t-shirt design.
yeah, something more specific to match the image. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but otherwise, what do you think about this particular module here? So we've got another gift too.
Yeah, the GIF, it's obviously not as nice as the first one,
Mm-hmm.
but I do get the again the rotation during the possible designs that they could come up with. I'm not sure if
Mm-hmm.
maybe an image grid would have worked here better rather than
Mm-hmm.
a GIF. And I'm also, it's not quite a rainbow, but I'm a little confused by the rainbow halo going around.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
my eyes drawn to that rather than actually anything else. I don't really know why it's there. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that is a really good point. I mean, I think like one thing designers have to be careful about is associations. Whenever I see like a rainbowish gradient, I'm always going to think about like like LGBTQIA plus causes. It does tend to stand out as well in this design. You're right. It is like the thing that I'm looking at instead of the GIF, actually, funnily enough. So yeah, I'm not really sure whether this module works as well as the upper ones. And again, I think I would have opted for create your own design, something just a bit more specific that
yeah,
matches to the image. So yes, add your voice to the fight against cancer or honor someone you love. customizable, and we've got the history of Pink Pony. So it's got a legacy to it, which is really
That's
interesting.
very cool.
It is really nice. Again, though, I don't know whether this needed to be a GIF. I
Yeah.
guess maybe in the interest of efficiency of space. What would you have done in this particular space
I
here?
think I would have risked. So my email coding skills are not as good as my design skills. Although Jay Orm from Action Rocket is helping me get a lot better. But
Yeah.
I would have done maybe even if it was an image, you could do it. But I would have maybe tried to put in a timeline.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's funny enough, like kind of an infographic type thing.
yeah, pretty much, and then have
Mm.
branching points off it with just these key moments that are going in there. I'm actually wondering if this email got clipped because I would imagine this is a fairly heavy email.
Yeah,
To
yeah,
be
it's doing a
honest.
lot of heavy lifting, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think the timeline would have been better because I think some people might not get all of the references here, like who's
yeah,
this, who is that, what is the context behind this image here. So I think a timeline would have worked much better here as well. And I think there's something to be said about simplicity. Like you don't have to opt for a fancy GIF every time.
100%. I actually thought
Hmm.
as well that they've carried through though. I'm just not quite sure that if you look at the very bottom there with the explore now and donate now, it was very similar with the create your own. The
Hmm.
CPAs are even smaller than they were at the top, and we don't even
Yeah.
have ghost buttons around them now. We've now just
No, we
got
don't.
small underlying text.
Yeah, it's and I would say that donate now is the CTA that you want people to go to first. So I would even go as far as break, like again flexing the brand guidelines more and even having that in a contrasting color so it really sticks out.
Good idea.
If the objective of the email is to raise awareness of the issue and to get people to donate, then why not break that rule for this particular email?
100%.
Um,
It's a very pretty email, but it's just not I think the content is lacking compared to the design. I think they've put more thought into how it looks rather than what they're really trying to push or what they're really trying to convert so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a couple. I mean, there's a little bit of confusion here for me as well as to why this is here.
Yeah, I don't get
Um,
this at all. It
yeah,
makes
like that really doesn't need to be there. Again, it's like so. I'm speaking as someone who so my dad has been diagnosed with cancer, so this is obviously very near and dear to my heart. And and for me, like with my through the marketing lens as well, I'm just thinking like this too. You're asking people to do too much. Like I think the whole focus should be on buy from the Pink Pony collection
yeah,
because it goes to this cause. And so I think all of this like other extraness doesn't really need to be here.
agreed.
So yeah, but overall a very pretty email. I think
Yeah,
there's certainly a lot of design things here that people can absolutely take inspiration from. But yeah, I think my main issue is probably like the CTAs for sure.
yeah, but it's really
Any
nice.
other? Yeah, it is. Oh yeah, I mean, props to the
Yeah,
design team. Whoever animated this it's really
superb.
quite stunning. Okay, so I'm going to move on to another brand which we
Okay,
both probably know. It is again like really honing in on the details. Um, and again, really interested to get your impressions of what this looks like. So this is a bit of an odd one. This is like okay, so it's very short and simple. And I think for the right situations, it looks really good. There's only like one hero image, which is like this really badass looking um, GIF. So, what are your first impressions of this email? This is all there is to this email, by the way.
you see, my issue is I have to get over my bias because I'm not a fan of basketball.
Hey,
But
this is good critique. You have to acknowledge your biases, right? But yeah.
definitely, actually, this is what's really strange, and this is when we talk about association and particularly brand association. Whenever I see this email, I'm a big
Mm.
fan of Skull Candy, massive fan of Skull Candy and their earphones.
Uh
Uh,
huh.
This email,
Okay. Yeah.
this email just looks like a Skull Candy email, which is really interesting. So
Interesting.
I automatically do like it. but I can see how polarizing it could be because it's obviously it's a very literally black and white email. So there's some
Yeah.
issues here with being able to read the links at the top. I
Mm-hmm.
think they need to be a little bit more bold and stand out. The GIF, as you say, is
Mm-hmm.
stunning. They've done a beautiful
Mm-hmm.
3D render there, and aside from the privacy nightmare that these things are going to be, the
Yeah.
they are selling how like cool these would actually look on your face because they've got another brand of Ray Ban, beside them. We all know with Tom Cruise from the 80s making those famous aviators, that
Mm-hmm.
did everything. But they're just, I think, whenever I see this, it's a great hero image because for most viewports, especially in mobile, it's gonna fill that gap, and you're just gonna go, "Oh, you've got my attention," so I'm going to
Yeah.
more. But I'm ignoring the pre-header above because at the minute my eyes are just I'm ignoring sunglasses, prescriptions, stores. I'm just looking at that GIF going, "Ooh,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, my thing is like, why even have this
yeah,
as well? When this is the star of the show, it would look even smoother and slicker if it just went straight into the GIF.
yeah,
So I'm wondering whether there's like a tactical reason behind it. But for the purposes of design, I think I would have just taken it out and like had
agreed."
those a bit more clear at the bottom. And then we have some fairly like standard fonts here, I think, as well, which is probably like the safe option, right? Like you don't want to go too fancy with your fonts. Um, I so so how do you feel about this? Do you have a particular kind of uh opinion on like center aligned text or like left aligned text? How like what's your general policy about that?
So the designer in me is like, I understand center line text, but the
Yeah.
accessibility person in me is like, left align that stuff, please. Please left align it. And I think this email would work left aligned, to be perfectly honest. I would love to see an A B side by side if they did an A B test
Mm.
of the text
Mm-hmm.
and obviously remove that all caps next generation of smart glasses is here because that's just too much. It needs
Yeah.
to be Setton's case or whatever way, even capitalized would be fine, but not
Mm-hmm.
all uppercase. But yes, the
Yeah.
left aligned would be, although I can see from a designer's perspective, but yes, I would left align. What about you?
Yeah, I would left align. I mean, for me, one thing that I've realized about myself is that I really struggle with seeing huge paragraphs of text, and especially like center aligned text as well. Like, if you ever received an email from me, just like I tend to write in bullet points because like that's how my mind is able to parse information. And so this, like, even just this little amount of text, I'm like my eyes are just skipping past it.
Okay.
So I would left align,
Yeah.
and also like just make it a little bit punchier, like the next generation of smart glasses is here. I don't know whether like from a copywriting point of view whether you could almost lead with something else, like what is the problem that this product is solving. Like, okay, like the power of so what is very strong, to help self edit. So that's like a rule I always ask myself when I write a bit of like marketing copy. I then ask myself, so what? And I don't know if this quite passes the so what rule.
I love that. It's really good. I've heard that before. I really like that.
Yes.
Uh,
So what? Yeah,
it's
so
funny
what?
what you say as well about the obviously when you see that block of text, you immediately almost want to skim past it because one of the things that
Yeah.
I learned, and I think it was Megan Boschison who told me this. I think
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give her the credit anyway. Is that whenever there's paragraphs of text, you need to really consider how it's going to come down on mobile. So you want to keep things to two
Yeah.
lines or three lines most, but somewhere around two lines. So immediately whenever I see this
So
four line
true.
text, I'm like, oh man, I'm not reading that.
Yeah.
I need to break
Well,
this up.
yeah. I mean, this is going to look even like on mobile. That's going to look even worse, I'm guessing, as well, because that will kind of go down onto like 3 or 4 lines, like this headline here. So, yeah, punchier. People might be asking, why are you talking about copywriting? And essentially, what's an email breakdown about design? Copywriting is part of the design. It's what
Yeah,
we have to work with to populate the email, right?
100%.
This red, I'm not super loving it, but
No,
I understand. I think maybe there's kind of a smarter way to lay out the pre-orders live.
yeah,
This notification here, though, But yeah, I mean, just some other things here as well. Again, this gets lost in this design.
100%.
Um, their collections, and then we've got some more all caps, very tiny writing here. So I'm going to like zoom into like what it should be. So that's at 100%, which is what they've designed to, and it still looks really
Still
tiny to
really
me.
hard, yeah.
Yeah. um and I would say like you want to make sure that your unsubscribe links are like a little bit larger than that, right, guys?
Yep, particularly for February, whenever Google changes all their new rules and brings all that in, we're going to need to make sure unsubscribes are very clear.
Oh my goodness. Yes, that is absolutely, we don't obviously we don't have to wait until, big
Nope.
corporations regulate this stuff to do this. Like it is just good best practice, but yeah, absolutely that is yet another thing on top of the pile to make sure that all of our friends at home are making sure that their unsubscribe links are nice and clear. Overall, yeah, I would say the best thing about this email is this GIF. Um yeah, any further thoughts about this particular email?
It's kind of, as you say, it's almost whenever you say the best part about this is the hero image, and then you follow it up with that really vague statement because you're kind of like, the so what? I mean, like, I love it. I'm hung up on this now. So I see the GIF, and if I'm seeing it for the first time and I'm not sure what the connection is between Ray Brand and Met, I'm like, so what does this
Mhm.
actually, what do they do?
Yeah.
Why should I have these?
Yeah, I think as far as like persuasive communication goes, this wasn't super persuasive to me. And actually, I think this is one of those situations where they could have done with more content to maybe like tell the story of like why are Ray-Ban and Meta partnering up. Seems a bit random.
Yeah. No, I saw the keynote drop from Mark Zuckerberg, and there was definitely
Hmm.
enough content in there that they could have pulled in. And your idea of bullet points would have worked
Hmm.
perfectly in there. I thought that would have
Hmm.
been excellent.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I say this all the time, and I think definitely, like, it feels like in the last 10 years specifically, and also it is only going to get worse, but we're being totally inundated by content
Yeah.
every day. As a marketer, I feel that, like, the maturity of the marketing industry is so that we're getting much more targeted, but that means we're being inundated with even more relevant, interesting, like snackable content all the time, right? And so I think when it comes to giving information, we need to be much more mindful. So like I think bullet points, I think things like highlighting really key information in a smart way, that's all part of good design now. It just has to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
But yeah, I definitely didn't pass the so what test for me. I was like, okay, there was a first generation of smart glasses, all right. Okay, so I'm going to share. Sorry, what was that?
No, 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 no. Go ahead. No, go ahead. I was going to say nothing important at all.
I mean, that's the theme of my entire podcast. Me hosting and not saying too much important.
Oh no, I'm
But
like,
yeah,
I've got
this is my
this
theme.
so what I'm taking away with me for the rest of the day because I'm going to a marketing meetup later on, and
Oh, nice.
I'm going to be talking about the so what. It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny because I so that actually came about from when I was head of marketing at my last company. I had to mentor a couple of junior marketers, and they would so like I feel that as you don't really have an understanding of your own skills and how good you are at something until you have to teach or mentor other people. And what I realized is that I'd completely taken for granted my knowledge of like copywriting and writing persuasively. So my juniors were having some issues with writing that, and so that came. So every time they would send in a copywriting, sometimes they write something which obviously sounded very markety, if you know what I mean, like
Yeah,
some buzzwords and stuff. And I'd look at it and I'd be like, so what, and it became kind of a meme, but actually I think it's a
right.
really good role.
Yeah.
But that makes me sound like I was a mean editor. I
No,
wasn't.
not at all.
No, no, no. Um, so we've got an email, and again another lovely looking email.
Beautiful.
But I think maybe probably has some things that we could comment on.
Yep.
I like looking at emails from brands I don't know because I like to kind of infer things about the brand and their products. So I don't know anything about Bespoke Post.
Me neither.
What I'm inferring is that they sell very bougie products. What do you think?
Yeah, that is some high quality stuff there. I mean,
Yeah,
who knew who knew you needed a match safe?
I mean, if you have the budget, and it's expensive, but they don't even have like the price.
Yeah, the
So
price isn't there
on
yet.
the price isn't there. If you have to ask, then you can't afford it, right? But yeah, a fairly long email. This is so yeah, pretty long, and I suspect that it might get cut off, but I don't know. I haven't actually received this in my own inbox. Any initial impressions before we get into it?
Just from the zoom out, and as you say, the length and things, I'm wondering, is this just a collection of images? Because it
Yes.
doesn't look like there's a lot of place there for live text the way that's been built or designed. It just looks like images. Could be wrong.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. But I have a feeling these are a collection of maybe sliced images as
Yeah,
well. And for people watching who are like, oh, is that a bad thing? Yeah, because it doesn't give you. It's not accessible for one thing. It also like it's I feel like all image emails don't scale down very well either. Couple of different reasons, but one of the most striking things I think is here where you see this image which is like baked into the text which is baked into the image. That's very hard to read.
very, very hard. I mean, the title at the top is fine, but as you say,
Mm-hmm.
even the brand name down at the bottom, or not the brand, sorry, the product line Ren is really hard
Mm-hmm.
to read. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a beautiful picture, but equally, it's the irony is objects and details was strong, and you're just kind of like, yeah, but I'm really struggling to read the details in that,
Yes, exactly.
but it is beautiful.
Yeah, I think it is beautiful. I mean, I think maybe a smart way of doing this, like alternatively, is to have your live text maybe on top.
Yeah,
And then there's maybe a gradient that kind of
mm,
leads
I like
into
it.
this header
Yeah,
image. Yeah, we're pitching.
right.
Anyone wants to hire us both, do let us know. And yeah, I think ultimately, one of the most important things is the product image and whatever brand it's going to be. So you don't want that to get lost as well, right? So yeah. So we've got like a zigzag kind of thing happening here.
I like that. It
Again,
works.
it's beautiful. I mean, it's curated. Obviously, it always does look a lot nicer when images are have some cohesiveness. But again, this looks like a bunch of sliced images, which and again, a very tiny CTA as well,
And all capitals as well. I don't
and
know
all
why would people
capitals.
put in this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to once again look at it in 100% just to make sure. So it's absolutely huge. But again, in relation, this CTA gets lost unfortunately against this
Yeah, no,
really nice
as you
type
say, the
engraving.
proportions are all off there.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I can imagine looking at this on a mobile, getting halfway through, forgetting what I was looking at, and being like, "Okay, yeah, I got the idea." I
Yeah,
guess.
love that.
That's funny. Again, so I think like what would we have done differently? I would have done an image grid.
Yeah,
what would you have done if you were tasked with designing this
that
email?
I mean, obviously the as you say, having the live text over the top, even if it's a gradient or a solid color box or anything, would really help that stand
Mm-hmm.
out. But the
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
again, the point of this email, I'm not sure what the point of it is. So there's a big sale CTA down there with the
Mm-hmm.
discount code. I'm just wondering, should that not be a lot higher up underneath the header image, and then those created list of products that are underneath? Because I'm kind of like, it's a pretty big discount of 20% off, probably a premium brand as well. So why is that not a bigger deal? Why is that not higher up in the content?
Yeah. So I'm trying to. So this is nice. This
Yeah,
is a
that
nice
grid
image
works
grid.
brilliantly.
Uh, yeah, it's a bit. So we've got a trend alert for brass items,
Fair enough.
and
Yeah,
then it goes. The whiplash I got into Bath and Body sale is interesting. So if you have a big sale going on, but I think maybe what's going on here is that the sale has been going on for a little while, and
yeah.
they're like filling out the calendar with like emails to mix it
Oh,
up.
okay.
But so I don't know, but I'm just guessing. But I would probably just go all in on the Bath and Body sale.
100%. Because as you say,
Yeah.
I'm like, again, you've given me some absolute gold for today. The
Oh,
whiplash
thank you.
injury, that is the whiplash injury is brilliant. It's a phenomenal use of the word. I love it. But it then kind of makes me feel okay. Let's, as you've cut the screen there is perfect. Why have we got
Mhm.
the rest, the top of the email? Why do we actually have that now? Yeah, this is definitely
Yes,
the worst of
exactly.
3 emails so far.
Yeah, I think it just goes to show you, even though something looks pretty, it looks well designed, it doesn't mean that it's good design. Like, if we're talking about design in terms of creating something for the purpose
Yeah,
of fulfilling an objective. So yeah, I mean, this is nice and simple. I Okay, so my thing, I don't know whether this is dynamic. I have a feeling it isn't, but I would definitely have like what the product is and like how much it
yeah,
is with the 20% sliced off.
that's a smart one. And there's lots of ESPs that allow you to do that quite easily as well without code,
Mm,
which is good.
yeah,
I haven't done code,
exactly.
but
Emails, yeah. I mean, it is possible, people, we can do it.
we can.
And then like I so I was looking at this as well, because like the reason why I say you should probably have the product name and like the price. I was looking at this for like a full minute and I was trying to figure out what it was.
I think it's like a
Can
balloon.
you suss what I'm not sure. Maybe it's a bath bomb or something, but I because of the way that it's like cut out, I couldn't tell whether it was like a 3D object or a
Yeah,
like a flat one for a minute.
fair enough. Better than mine. A balloon. I don't know what I had.
It's a
Terrible.
real mystery. If anyone wants to tell us, to do leave it in the comments below.
Oh,
I'm
that'd be
dying
a
to know
good
what
one.
it is.
What is this?
What is it?
Go on.
An email geeks mystery.
Love it.
So we've got a bunch of other like random bits and pieces as well. Again, the best and like again whiplash, because like it just kind of veers straight off into, well, I suppose it's part of Bath and Body, but
We've gone
featured
into
boxes
very
like
gender specific.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
um and then we've got Manscaped stuff, which, okay, in another email, this will
Yep.
be a really nice hero image. But as part of this collection of randomness, it really loses its like potency, I guess.
I think like somebody has woken up in the morning and gone, we need to sell stuff. Sell it all. And then they just sell
Sell it all,
50.
all the modules, everything. Put it into this
Oh,
email.
I've just seen this next one coming into the screen, and that's why it's popping in my head. Because what is this going to be? Is it a hat? No, it's not jeans.
um,
It's jeans. I mean,
it's jeans.
uh, I don't
Wow,
know.
that was
Oh,
like such a reveal. What a twist.
do you know what? To be fair, now I think this is now my favorite email because it's like the Forrest Gump of emails. We just don't know what's going to be in it as we
You're gonna
scroll
get.
down. Oh,
But again, I can see this like maybe management being like, hey, we've got to sell a whole bunch of stuff, like chuck it all into the email. And then like a marketer being like, okay. I don't know, I can see that conversation happening. I've been through it myself.
it's crazy, but it's not like I'm sitting in a serious point though. We're like, oh my word, it gets
Mm.
worse. So we see this and we're just kind of like, how do you segment that audience? Who on earth does this email go to in your audience?
Well, it was very easy, Simon. Do you have internet connection?
Yes,
And do you have money?
yeah.
This email is for you. I don't know what's the issue.
Oh my goodness. You know what? Then maybe,
And yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Sorry,
go
no. I
on.
was just gonna say that maybe this is the type of email that you maybe would have seen during COVID, whenever everybody was in and that we had the e-commerce boom and the crazy spikes and stuff, and it was just sell everything, and they just haven't stopped.
Yeah, it's it's the annoying thing about this email is that the modules themselves are really nice. Like, they're
Yeah,
very well
oh,
designed.
yeah,
Like, this on its own as an email could be very effective.
beautiful.
But tacked on at the end of a manscaping module, like after a bath and body module, after a brass module, it's just,
Started with
it
a
loses
compass.
it. Yeah, exactly. It loses all sense of like cohesiveness, right? And so it just looks very random, which is a shame because these are great product images, and there's obviously like a great story,
Yeah.
a provenance behind the product. So I guess for like especially premium brands, it's all about keeping it exclusive and tight, right?
Mm,
And I think this is basically five emails in one, just looking at it.
at least.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's got something for everyone and not in a good way. So yeah, this is a collection of really beautifully created emails if they were on their own, but as one long thing, it's kind of messy, it's confusing, probably, yeah, it doesn't pass the silhouette test as well as you were probably saying earlier. um oh yes, this one thing. So what are your thoughts on footers, by the way? Do you have strong opinions about footers?
I do. Um, I'm
Tell me your
really,
strong opinions about footers before we go.
yeah, no, I'm really annoyed that this part of the footer is actually at the bottom, so that when you shop at bespoke posts, you're supporting small brands. I almost feel
Ah, yes.
that feels like an afterthought there, and it should
Mm-hmm.
be much higher up. But I think with regards to footers, so I think they're the neglected part of email. It's where we put
For
all the
sure.
legal jargon in that we have to put in. It's like I just put it all in there and it's forgotten about. Where it can be a really fun place to be. So you have this
Mm,
sort of hybrid look here where it's trying to almost be a website footer. So at least some effort has been put in. But there's some brilliant Easter eggs out there. Action Rocket have a very fun email footer gif with their rocket shooting across the screen. Paul
yes.
Airy from the envelope with his accessibility emails, the type
Mm-hmm.
E. There's a brilliantly hidden Easter egg in there, so you can have so much fun with footers and placing things in
Mm-hmm.
there because the biggest debate I think at the minute, I think among email marketers that I've seen in my circles, like Naomi West and Emily Ryan started it,
Mm-hmm.
bringing it to the forefront is do we keep putting social links into the footer? Do people? Cause
Mm.
I think we do, in that like it's where people expect them to be, but how many people click? Because I certainly know from the campaigns that I run with my clients, or maybe I'm doing it wrong, but nobody really clicks on the social media icons. They know they're there, but nobody really clicks on them. Is it
Yeah,
really?
it's what I've seen before as well from my past email campaigns that I've sent out. It's yeah, it's a really interesting one. Like if you're looking at the data over time and you notice that nobody's really clicking through, I would say for the sake again of simplicity and kind of making your emails a little bit more lightweight, just take the social
Yeah,
icons out. But yeah, I loved Emily Ryan's talk at Litmus Live. It was all about fitters. We were talking about it because I'd written a blog like a few years ago about how like you think about email templates like a hamburger, and I made loads of puns about like top buns and stuff because that's where my mind goes. But we were talking about how you don't want your footer to be like the soggy like sad bottom bun. You want it to be just as good.
I love that. I know what I'm going to be reading on the train now after this. I'll be reading about your burger buns. I can't wait. It's going to be good.
Yeah, yeah, I think footers definitely deserve more thought because yes, of course there's a lot of like the legalese that's down there, but this is a great opportunity to like flex your brand. Like that's where the brand experience is as well. It's in your footers. Love is in the footers. That's probably my new song.
It's very good.
Love is in the
Wet, wet,
footers.
wet, Marty Tallow. I'm showing my age now, but there you go. You can look that one up later. It's terrible. It's whenever songs in the UK could be in like number one for like 19 weeks or 20. I think it was even longer. I think it was nearly like 38 weeks or something. Well, it'll be something I'll
Oh my
Google later. But it
oh my
was
goodness.
the 90s were a fun time.
Yeah, well, we'll have to put a link in the description. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So this is a really interesting set of curated emails. I
yeah,
think
love
in
that.
terms of design, beautiful stuff. Like I think really great things that people can absolutely be inspired by. But I thought maybe the cons outweighed some of the pros,
Yeah,
definitely on those emails. Because ultimately, when we're designing for email, it's about achieving a particular goal.
yeah.
What were your thoughts about those emails before we go?
Yeah, the same like the same idea where there was a lot of substance was lacking over the
Mm-hmm.
actual design, and there was a few very easy wins that could have been
Mm-hmm.
done in retrospect to make some of those emails stand out. I think probably Ralph Lauren was close to my favorite, and
Yeah.
I think it might edge out the Meta and Ray-Ban one. My bias aside, I think
Yeah.
but I think the it was just as you say, it was the theme was detail. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it, with the exception of that last email, which was just a horror
Yeah.
show, but it was so close. But the devil
Yeah.
is in the detail. So I mean,
For
there's just
sure.
a few wee tweaks, and we were there. Not that
Yeah.
I make
Yeah.
perfect emails, but looking back, I think we could have done it better.
Yeah, 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 exactly. It's like, wait, yeah, step aside, everyone. We're gonna
Yep,
do the most perfect
back
emails
off.
everyone see. No, uh, no. I mean, ultimately, like all love to the marketers
Yeah,
behind these
100%.
emails. Because obviously there's like hundreds, millions of decisions that are going on behind the scenes. Like I say, I could absolutely see a conversation about that last email being like, "We've got to put everything in this
Yeah.
email," and a tired marketer being like, "All right."
Mhm.
So so I can see that being the case. But this is ultimately we're just breaking down like ideas, thoughts, things that you can take away to make your emails
Yeah.
better, right? At the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, okay, so very sadly, I wish I could kind of keep you here all day, Simon, but you've got things to do. Very rude, honestly. So before before we go and go about our day, is there anything that you'd like to kind of promote before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I have weekly newsletters, so they go out on a
Yes.
Monday, and I do normally have one for WordPress that goes out on a Wednesday. It's on a small hiatus at the minute while I actually go back and tweak the format and tweak the content.
Oh,
The
nice.
Mondays is my email marketing newsletter, which I love, and it's a joy to do, and I do encourage you to subscribe to that one because one of the things that I love about it is there's a section in it called Follow of the Week where we like elevate and expand the email community and the lovely people that you've been in it. And there'll be many other lovely people in it. So the easiest way is to go to my website, srhdesign.co.uk, and sign up from there and just ignore how terrible looking the website is. But I've got to explain why it's so bad. But you're there for the emails, not for the website, so it's fine.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No judgment on the website. I mean, hey, it's like the painter that doesn't paint his own house, right? Sometimes I feel like I'm my own worst marketer sometimes. But your newsletter is delightful. We're going to put the links in the description as well, so everybody do go check it out and subscribe. I'm gonna make you do it. So. Uh, all right then. So yeah, that brings us to the end. So yeah, in the meantime, I've been Nudge, you've been Simon. This has been Email Breakdown, and we're going to say bye.
Bye.